Welcome to 3.1b, where we're going to continue to divide polynomials, but today you get a shortcut. If you remember, last time we did long division of polynomials. Well, today we're doing synthetic division of polynomials, which is long division, but it's a shortcut instead. Now, one reason we teach long division and synthetic is because synthetic division only works if you're dividing by x to the first. Now you can divide by anything to the first, but if you had a problem like x to the fourth minus x squared plus 6 divided by x squared minus x plus 2, you cannot do that with long division, or with synthetic division, because I have an x squared in the denominator. If I have anything bigger than x to the first in the denominator, synthetic division doesn't work. However, there are a lot of times where you're dividing by a linear term or something with x to the first. So anytime you're dividing by that, synthetic works. So let's go through and talk about the steps for synthetic division. Now, first step. Set the denominator equal to 0 and solve it. That is our first step. So down here we're going to take the denominator, set it equal to 0, and solve it. So add 6 to both sides to get x by itself. Step 2. Put that number in a box and list the coefficients of the numerator next to it. So I'm going to take that number 6, put it in a box. I usually use like a half box. It doesn't particularly matter. And then next to that 6, I'm going to list the coefficients of my numerator. Remember, coefficient is the number in front of the letter. So my first coefficient is a 1. My second coefficient is a -1. And my last one is the -29. So that's step 2. I put my number in a box and I listed the coefficients of the numerator next to it. Step 3. I'm going to carry the first coefficient all the way down. All the way down. Now what I mean by that is I'm going to take that +1, my first coefficient, and just copy it all the way down right there. Step 4 is I'm going to multiply that number I carried down to the box number and put the answer in the next column. So what I'm going to do is multiply this number to my box number, so 1 times 6, and put that number in the next column, right there. That's step 4. Step 5 is add the column. So I'm going to add -1 plus 6 is +5. Now step 6, repeat steps 4 and 5 until you run out of columns. So I'm going to repeat step 4, multiply it to the box number and write it in the next column. So 6 times 5 is 30. And then repeat step 5, which was add the column. That gives me a positive 1. And I've run out of columns, so I'm actually already done. Now, last step, step 7, is to write out your answer. Because right now our answer is just a bunch of numbers, but we know that our answer is actually an equation. And here's how you figure out the equation. First off, you look at your numerator. And you look at the biggest exponent that the numerator uses. So the biggest one is an x squared. But we want to go 1 down. So instead of x squared, I want x to the first. And what happens is I take that x to the first. So I'm going to have my 1, my 5, and my 1. That x to the first goes with the first number. And from there I go down. So if this first one uses x to the first, then the second one is going to use 0 x's. And that means this last one is my remainder. Now just a reminder from last time, we write the remainder by putting it in the numerator and divide by what we were dividing by, x minus 6, and put a plus in the middle. So that is your final answer. In the next video, we'll do another example.